2, 3, 4, 1. Hello out there in internet land. This is the F1 Chat, episode 21 of the 2024 season. I'm your host, Phil Lamington, seated to my left, bringing us back to it being the P&J F1 Chat days. It's JB. JB, how are you going?
I'm back in my chair.
He's back in the...
I'm back in my chair, Longhorn. Hope you're enjoying wine life.
I will say this, like, I know you and I do this, and like we were here, 2021 was the first season we did this.
Yeah, it turned out to be the best season ever.
Even though this season's turned out pretty damn good.
This season's got spicy, yes.
It's a very spicy meatball. When I do this, and like you're not available or he's not available, I always feel like there's a piece missing.
Yeah, I know.
Like we've become this solid 3-man unit.
Yes, we really have. We really have, unfortunately. Alternating rosters don't really help.
No, well, one of you's just quit your job and get a real job so we can do this regularly.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'll just win the lotto.
Yeah.
I'll just win the lotto and we'll be done with it.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
But we muster on and we make some donuts. So
we do. I mean, we make it work when we can.
Yeah.
In spite of everything.
Speaking of making donuts, there was the Mexican F1 this weekend.
I don't think they make donuts in Mexico.
I was just trying to figure out a way to segue.
The donuts were America. That was last week. We missed that. True. This is the tacos and enchiladas.
Yeah, and the mariachi version of the F1 theme.
Yes. I'm glad they brought that back.
Yeah, it makes it special.
It does. It does.
The only thing is, I wish for the Austrian F1 race, they bring back the heavy metal band playing the national anthem again.
That was the best version of the anthem I've ever heard.
That was great.
That was brilliant.
But the Mexican F1 was a few days ago.
It was
last weekend, and it was quite the spicy meatball, I must say.
Yeah, there were a few chilies in the taco on this one. The El Paso sauce had like the full chili. Yeah, the super hot El Paso sauce.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't the mild salsa.
No, this was quite good.
This was burn your ring hole out hot.
Yeah, this was regret the next day. But we weren't regretting it. We were reliving a great tussle.
Yeah, it was great.
It was.
So we're going to hand it over to you to do your thing, which is the F1 report.
It is the F1 report, the 2024 Gran Premio de la Ciudad de Mexico.
Please don't try and speak in Spanish.
That was terrible. Well, no, I had to because that was literally what was on the screen.
Sometimes they're pretty good and sometimes they're pretty shit.
Yeah, that was literally what it's called. There's no sponsors. It's the Gran Premio de la Ciudad de Mexico. So, any Spanish people listening, please don't hang me in the city center. But I wouldn't be surprised if you do.
What they're going to do is they're going to stab you repeatedly with big spears, and then you'll have a disagreement with a little Spanish man in his little red cape.
Correct. Lap 1, Carlos Sainz starts on pole position alongside Max Verstappen. Carlos Sainz straight lines the opening chicane, trying to hold Max off. Stop me if you've heard that before. But he cedes the lead of the Grand Prix back to Max, unlike Lando. Back at the pack, Yuki Tsunoda is spun coming into turn 1 by Alex Albon after Pierre Gasly squeezed both cars to the outside of the track. Tsunoda cannoning into the concrete wall, while Alex Albon's front left suspension breaks on contact, both cars retiring from the race. Lap 3, Sergio Perez is under investigation for a false start. Replays showing he started his home Grand Prix beyond the front of his grid box. Lap 5.
I've got to pull you up for a second there. Because I do remember distinctly him talking about on the radio about how amazing his start was.
The start was great. It was a great start, but you were like 5 meters ahead of where you should have been. That big yellow line's supposed to be, like, not behind you. It's meant to be in front of you.
That's what happens when you try and do a tackle when you're offside.
That's it, mate.
10-metre rule.
That's it, penalty. Speaking of, lap 5, Sergio Perez handed a 5-second time penalty for his incorrect starting position. I'm surprised that wasn't 10. Lap 9, Carlos Sainz swoops under Max Verstappen into turn 1 with DRS assistance taking the lead of the Grand Prix. Lap 10, Lando Norris dives down the outside of Max Verstappen into turn 3. Max pushing Lando off the track like last week. Norris ahead at the apex this time and taking second place off the track after shortcutting. Max Verstappen then dives back under Lando 3 corners later, pushing him wide once more. Charles Leclerc takes advantage of the squabble between the championship protagonists, passing them both for second place. Lap 14, Max Verstappen is handed a 10-second time penalty for forcing Lando Norris off the track. Lap 15, George Russell passes Lewis Hamilton for 5th, despite running an old spec aero package. Lewis Hamilton had newer aero, but George Russell was faster on the day with an old spec. Lap 16, Fernando Alonso, as he did in his 200th and 300th Grand Prix starts, retires from his 400th Grand Prix start with an overheating issue caused by debris in the radiator duct of his Aston Martin. How's that for consistency?
See, that wouldn't happen if Adrian Newey designed the car.
Yeah, well, he's got to wait 12 months for that. Yeah. Lap 20, Max Verstappen is handed another 10-second time penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. Lap 24, Oscar Piastri passes Lance Stroll for 11th after starting 17th with a deleted lap time in qualifying for the second weekend running. Lap 26, Max Verstappen pits for hard tyres, the Red Bull team hovering over the car for a full 20 seconds as Max serves his double penalty. Lap 29, Lewis Hamilton pits for hard tyres. Lap 31, Lando Norris pits for hard tyres. Lap 32, Charles Leclerc pits for hard tyres, as does George Russell. Lap 33, Carlos Sainz pits for hard tyres, rejoining in the lead of the Grand Prix ahead of his Ferrari teammate Charles Leclerc. Lap 33, George Russell passes Oscar Piastri on fresher tyres. Lap 34, Oscar Piastri and Lewis Hamilton pass Liam Lawson in consecutive corners for 5th and 6th. Lap 40, Oscar Piastri finally pits for hard tyres. Lap 44, Pierre Gasly and Oscar Piastri mug Valtteri Bottas for 10th and 11th. Lap 45, Oscar Piastri passes Pierre Gasly for 10th. Lap 56, Oscar Piastri passes Nico Hülkenberg for 8th. Lap 63, Charles Leclerc has a massive moment coming out of the final corner, nearly having an airplane crash into the barriers, but handing second place to Lando Norris in the process. Lap 70, Charles Leclerc pits to take the fastest lap off Franco Colapinto and deny Lando Norris, but Sergio Perez attempts to do the same. Lap 71, Carlos Sainz wins the Mexican Grand Prix out of Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc bags the fastest lap ahead of Sergio Perez. Carlos Sainz getting driver of the day.
In 4th place was Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes. 5th place was his teammate George Russell in the other Mercedes. 6th place was Max Verstappen in the Red Bull. 7th place was Kevin Magnussen in the Haas. 8th place was Oscar Piastri in the McLaren. 9th place was Nico Hülkenberg in the other Haas. And in 10th place was Pierre Gasly in the Alpine, getting some needed bank there in their battle against Williams.
Yeah, absolutely. That's massive. Honestly, Lewis did beat George, so the new aero upgrades seem to help Lewis there.
Now, before we talk about the corner incidents, I kind of want to talk about Carlos Sainz. Like, he drove a really phenomenal race this race.
It was flawless, and again, it was another Ferrari dominating victory. Like, where has this come from? They haven't touched the car, have they?
No, they didn't bring any upgrades to after the second break.
They haven't touched the car, but they're just dominating 2 races in a row.
Yeah, well, apparently the race did a video this morning talking about the the three main contender cars. And they said that the Ferrari is really good running a high downforce, low downforce, sorry. Setup, that's the word. And it seems to do really well in the slow corners. Whereas the McLaren is struggling in the slow corners, as is the Red Bull.
Yeah.
So clearly there's a few tracks coming up where it looks like, if you go off their opinion, and I think Zach Brown's opinion as well, where the Ferrari is going to have an advantage.
Yeah, well, Brazil's got a lot of slow-speed corners too.
Brazil, Qatar, not Qatar, Las Vegas. They reckon those two are going to be Ferrari tracks.
How good are they? I guess they're all right in a straight line, aren't they?
That was good in a straight line.
It was.
But I think Qatar and Abu Dhabi are going to be McLaren.
Well, they need something now.
Yeah. But Carlos Sainz, he was just on song.
Yeah, he was absolutely flawless. Probably his best win to date.
Yeah, and you know what?
Besides Singapore 2022, which is pretty impressive, but this one was like an actual domination. Like this was proper.
Every time he gets a good result, as a Ferrari fan, I sit there and go, and we're paying Lewis Midfieldton $500 million to replace this guy.
Yep. And he's doing it on his own. He's not racing for the team anymore. I meant Singapore 2023 as well. Just backtracking there. Last year's Singapore race was a good win for Carlos, but this was probably his most dominant. And this is a guy who's, knows he's leaving the team, but, he's doing it off his own bat. And I wouldn't say it probably is pressure-free driving.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. It doesn't matter if he crashes the car now.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably a whole lot of, he's just racing for the fun of it at the moment, and it's paying off.
I do think he still has some loyalty to the team. I mean, they are paying him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's not going out there and dive-bombing Charles Leclerc and costing them the race.
No, that's right. He's still like...
But he's driving very pressure-free.
Yeah.
Which is helping him a lot.
But, I mean, even Charles Leclerc. I mean, I know Charles Leclerc made the mistake that cost him second.
Almost cost him
but
almost ended his race.
But even he is driving just relatively carefree. Like, the pressure's off.
Yeah, well, they know... Well, they're in the constructors' title fight, but none of them are in the drivers' fight.
Charles isn't that far off.
That's between Max and... Yeah, I think mathematically he's still actually in it.
Yeah.
But, you're probably right. It's like, all the pressure's on Lando and Max. And these two are just picking up the pieces whenever they can. And it seems like Lando and Max can't get out of each other's way at the moment. So
well, he's under pressure when he steals a car and drives it through the streets without a helmet on. That's when you know he's under a lot of pressure.
That's it. It.
While he's getting chased by Stallone in another car without a helmet as well, driving through the streets.
Pretty impressive, doing 300 kilometers an hour and keeping your eyes open.
Yeah. Without a helmet. Yeah.
Without a helmet.
That's just And you didn't have the halo back then, like that.
No, that was full.
Yeah, safety.
Full send.
Yeah. So before we get into the key drivers and the helmet drivers, though, we need to talk about a couple of instances that have happened. The first one is the Lando Norris, Max Verstappen getting 20 seconds of penalties. 5 minutes?
That felt like retribution from last week, but Lando was actually ahead of the apex this time.
Yep.
Which is, and I hate that that's the only defining factor of these rulings. And you know why it is? Because they rewrote the rule after 2022.
Yeah.
The rule was, if you're on the it didn't matter where you were at the apex. If you were on the inside and you stayed on the track to complete the move, hunky-dory. But they removed the part where it's like you have to stay on the track to complete the move.
Yeah.
So now you can push them right off the track and you can go off the track yourself.
Yeah.
And be okay with it. But yeah, no, it was...
even Martin Brundle was on commentary going, this is dangerous.
It is dangerous.
This is dangerous and stupid.
I don't know why he's not going to lose the championship. All he has to do is finish behind Lando and he won't lose the championship. He can't.
Yeah.
It's a 47-point gap.
Yeah.
And there's, 4 races left?
Yeah.
The only way Max loses, he would have to DNF.
Twice.
And
Lando's got to win twice.
Basically. And he's risking more DNFing by racing the way he is than just toddling around behind Lando.
But you know why he's racing desperate?
I honestly don't. It makes no sense.
Well, he knows...
Is he just entering a dick measuring contest now?
He knows that that Red Bull cannot compete with the McLaren.
It doesn't have to.
Yeah, but...
He just has to finish behind Lando. He doesn't even have to beat Lando for the rest of the year. Just be close to him. You don't have to take... the fact that you're risking DNFing by racing this hard makes no sense. He doesn't have to. The Lando winning the championship from where he was already
a long odd.
What did Rocket Powered Mohawk say? He had to win every race, every sprint race, and get the fastest lap point. And he still would have lost the championship by a point anyway.
And get a ceasefire.
And get a ceasefire in Gaza.
Yeah.
And Lando still would have lost the championship by a point.
Yep.
We're now 2 races past that point. Lando hasn't won a race since. It's actually doing my head in that Max just won't calm down.
Yeah.
It's actually more detrimental to Max Verstappen than it is to Lando Norris for Max Verstappen to be 2021ing at every opportunity he gets that he sees Lando.
Oh, my thing about this is not the over... Someday I will learn to turn the mute button on my phone. But for me, I'm not talking about the overall season. I'm just talking about this race in general. The overtakes that he was doing, or the maneuvers that Max Verstappen was doing, they're dangerous. They look like, even as Rocket Powered Mohawk pointed out, they look like sim racer moves where you can just send it from anywhere and it doesn't matter because, cheat codes are on or whatever. And I mean,
you said that it reeks of desperation.
Yep.
He's not. Why is he driving like he's losing the championship? I'm so befuddled. He's not losing the championship. It's not even close. He can't lose the... If he keeps scoring top 4 finishes, he can't lose the championship from here.
No.
He hasn't been able to. He's not even close.
It literally just dawned on me why he's driving like a knobhead. It's not the driver's championship. It's the fact that he's got to try and make up as many points as he can so that they can still win the constructors because Sergio Perez is misfiring like a motherfucker down the back.
They can't win the constructors. They got to let that go.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Max has got to understand that's a Sergio problem. That's not a Max Verstappen problem. Max Verstappen can only do what Max Verstappen can do. He can't sit there and worry about what Sergio's doing.
And what he's doing and how he's going about it is more detrimental to himself.
Yeah.
He could cost himself the championship driving how he is. You remember in Austria when they hit and Lando had to retire from the race? If that happens in Brazil, what if Max hits Lando and Max has to retire from the race? And Lando goes on to somehow win it. Then the championship gap's 20-something points.
Yep.
Then it's on.
Yep.
Then you can drive like that.
Yeah.
But for now, I don't know what's going on in his head.
Who knows?
I really don't. I mean, he's going to kamikaze his own championship the way he's driving.
The worst thing is, more importantly than the championship, if he keeps driving this, he's going to hurt someone. That's the scary thing. He's going to hurt someone.
And it's going to be Lando.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't race anyone else. I don't know, it was just a dick measuring contest. Like, hey, you've got to learn to drive like this to beat me or some shit. Is he making a point? Like, what's he doing?
It's almost Hunting Louder. No, actually, this is almost Senna and Prost level.
It is a little bit.
Of just, I'm waiting for Max to overcook it and just fucking yeet Lando Norris into the wall and say, yay, I'm a champion now. Like
Suzuka 1990.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 89.
Yeah.
You know?
It's completely unnecessary the way Max is driving.
Yeah.
Totally. It's unnecessary in the point that it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's unnecessary for the point that he doesn't have to. He's going to win the championship. All he has to do is be a position or two behind Lando.
Yeah. He's just
and you're not going to be a
finish
position
the race in the points.
Because Lando's not winning races anymore, despite having the fastest car.
Yeah. But he's not winning races because he keeps having run-ins with Max Verstappen.
Yeah. I don't know.
The next sort of run-in was Sergio Perez and Liam Lawson.
That was boneheaded too.
And that's Sergio Perez driving on tilt.
That's Sergio Perez's home race, just trying to make a statement.
And Liam Lawson is like, you're not making a statement with me, buddy.
No.
I might be driving in the B team.
Liam Lawson's taking his seat.
Yeah.
Is what that is.
Yeah.
And Checo knows it.
And he's sending a clear and concise message. I want your seat.
Yep. That's personal, that one.
Yeah.
I mean, not saying that Max and Lando isn't, but I'm taking your job.
Yep.
That's what that is, and that's what that was.
I mean, Liam Lawson last week was rubbing Fernando Alonso the wrong way, and Liam Lawson has zero fucks to give about how he feels or what. Liam Lawson is there to do a job.
Yeah, I like his moxie. I can't, he's taking on former world champions and not fucking about.
You know, he drives past Sergio Perez and flips him the bird. Like,
yeah,
that's ballsy.
Yeah, give a fuck.
Yeah,
he doesn't need to.
No, he's there to do a job. He's not there to be...
And he's doing a job.
You know, he's not there to be Daniel Ricciardo. He's there to be Liam Lawson. He's there to get points for RB. He's there to help his own career and get into the Red Bull seat.
Which he will.
And he does not give a fuck if it hurts Sergio Perez.
No, not at this point.
You know, and frankly, Sergio Perez...
And the only person to blame is fucking Sergio Perez.
Yeah, Sergio Perez...
You started your own Grand Prix at, what? Where did he qualify? Like 14th or something?
16th.
And then, jumped the start or, parked in the wrong spot. He had an absolute horror show of a home race. And the only person he can pin that on is himself.
Yeah, but he had a horror show of a home race last year as well.
I think he was out the first corner, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, as much as the Mexicans love Sergio Perez,
he's cooked.
He's cooked. He's done.
He is done. Put a fork in him. He is done.
He's done. He's not. There was a 2021, 2020. There was a chance. When he saved his career the first time, he was Formula One material. I don't think he's Formula One material anymore.
No, he's IndyCar.
He's like Valtteri Bottas to Lewis Hamilton at the end there, or Philippe, or Rubens Barrichello to Michael Schumacher. He's been the whipping boy, and he knows he's the whipping boy. And he gave it his best shot to not be the whipping boy anymore, and he still was the whipping boy. And it's just...
He had his shot.
He had his chance, and honestly.
Okay. There's so many drivers that have been through F1 who had their shot, they blew it, that was it.
Yeah.
Eddie Irvine, David Coulthard, Rubens Barrichello, Felipe Massa. Mark Webber.
Yeah.
They had their shot.
Absolutely had their chance.
Bottas, they had their shot. They blew it.
Same old story, and now it's happening to Sergio Perez.
Yeah.
And it's very obvious it's happened to Sergio Perez.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to move on to the key drivers now, after we had that big old rant. Key drivers. My first key driver, Lando Norris. Drove a really solid race.
Under, duress from Max Verstappen, but yes, drove a solid race. Got P2.
Yeah.
Actually, that final stint where he was chasing down Charles Leclerc, despite the fact Charles Leclerc nearly yeeted himself in the shadow realm, was really mature.
Yeah.
You know, it was probably what he needed to, after the last couple of weeks of just the dog shit between him and Max, probably just needed to mentally stabilize himself a little bit.
Yep.
So I certainly wasn't object to that, and I'm sure he's not either.
And Charles Leclerc
Brilliant,
drove a great
brilliant
race.
drive. I mean, almost wasn't.
Yeah.
Almost sent himself to hospital because that would have been a big crash.
Yeah.
That was 200 and something kilometers an hour, and he was heading straight for that wall. The fact that, I mean, good driving to save it.
Yeah.
Good driving to save it, but that was almost a horror crash.
And at one point he was catching Carlos Sainz. Like he was on it.
Yeah, he was. He drove a very good race.
My next key driver, oddly enough, is Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a horror qualifying again, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
'Cause he was out in Q1, wasn't he?
Was it him or was it George Russell that yeeted it into the barriers?
No.
That was last week.
Yeah.
That was US. I can't remember, honestly.
Yeah, but no, he didn't have the most amazing qualifying. But,
Well, he outdrove George Russell, and the first person you got to beat on track is your teammate.
yeah.
Even though George, they had a decent scrap, the two Mercedes.
Yeah.
There were a few times they cut to the Mercedes, and they were having a decent ding-dong.
But the thing is, they're having a decent ding-dong with each other.
Yeah,
It's like the Mercedes of old, but just not in the lead of the race.
yeah. And they're not, well, and granted, credit to them, they're not fucking it up either.
No.
You know, you're not actually nervous that they're going to Senna and Prost 88 it at the final corner. Like, they're not going to
Yeah.
take each other out, or, you know, Rosberg and Hamilton at Spain 2016.
Yeah.
You know, there's a bit of respect there, even though, much like Carlos Sainz at Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton is leaving Mercedes
Yeah.
and could be driving on his own for his own, but he's not.
No.
Credit to Lewis as well.
Do I think Lewis Hamilton is worth $500 million, though?
No one
No.
does. No one
No.
does. No one thinks this is a good deal except Lewis Hamilton.
And whoever, John Elkann at Ferrari. But, you know. Next key driver is George Russell.
Yep.
He drove a solid race.
Ding-dong battle with a older spec car.
Yeah, and he was missing... No, Sergio Perez was the one missing a bit of body work.
Yeah, no, George Russell he had the older spec aero package because he kept crashing.
Yeah.
But you know what? Brought it home with points, and that's all you can do.
Next key driver, Kevin Magnussen.
Both Haas drivers.
Yeah, I've got them both on here.
Consecutive weeks.
Yeah, look, we'll put both of them in this right now. Like they're
Consecutive
both
weeks, man. That car is obviously a lot better than we give it credit for.
Yeah, those Ferrari upgrades are really working well.
Something's working well because that's back-to-back top tens. I think they finished their home race top 10 as well.
Nico Hulkenberg did, yeah.
Yeah, so you know.
Actually, no, I'm pretty sure both of them did. I don't feel like bringing up the results. You know, you guys watched last week. You know.
Yeah, you guys can think back that far because I'm struggling.
My next key driver, Oscar Piastri.
17th to 8th.
Yeah.
And it could have been more, but good race. That's a good result. 2 weekends in a row, he's had his lap time deleted in qualifying and fucked him to the back of the grid. But 2 weekends in a row where he's brought the car back into the points.
Yeah.
That kid can drive.
He digs his heels in and he goes.
Yeah.
Him and Liam Lawson.
Yeah.
They're two names to watch in the future because they are just...
I'm excited to see what Oscar does next year, starting when everyone's back on 0 points.
Oh, honestly. The thing is, when I think of those two drivers, only one word comes to mind. Diggers.
Diggers, absolutely.
Yeah. Anzac Diggers.
Yep. Don't take a backward step.
No.
Keep fighting. That's what they do. They can pass cars.
Next key driver was Pierre Gasly. Getting in the points.
Getting points for Alpine.
You know, the sad thing was they had like this onboard shot with the Alpine. That Renault engine probably is the nicest sounding power unit out of all 4 power units.
It usually is, yeah, it has been.
You hear that thing, and like when it changes gears, you can hear it click and everything, and it sounds really nice, and you just sit there and go,
They're
after
going
next
to
year,
stop making power units.
we're not going to have this after next year.
But that whole team's in a shambles.
Oh, yeah.
That whole team needs a broom put through it and start again.
Well, I think Oliver Huffman, I think is the team principal. Sorry if I got his name wrong, but the new team principal, he seems to be making strides in the right direction.
Yeah. Just wish it was quick enough to save, Renault as an engine manufacturer.
I wish they had signed this guy a year ago instead of Turtle Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bruno Famin.
Yeah. They needed him a year ago.
Yeah.
When they were originally pulling it out of the fire.
And my final key driver, we've spoken about him already, is Liam Lawson.
Yeah.
He had a ding-dong battle with Sergio Perez.
Elbows out.
Yeah, and elbows out, 0 fucks given. Absolutely what we want to see.
He's going for that Red Bull seat.
Yeah.
And he'll probably get it. Yeah, he's definitely making his statement.
All right, then we get the helmet drivers. There's the PK kick. Oh, it's a majestic thing, the PK kick.
It's brilliant.
My first key driver, helmet driver. He's pretty much alumni. Lance Stroll.
Lance Stroll for being Lance Stroll.
Yep. The Port Pirie of this thing.
Still shit.
Yep. My next one is Yuki Tsunoda.
He got squeezed, to be fair.
Yeah, but
Gasly squeezed Albon. Albon squeezed Tsunoda. There's nothing Yuki could have done.
Yeah.
Yuki was the innocent bystander in that.
Didn't he bottle it in qualifying though?
I think so. I don't know. I was at work when this race happened, so I didn't see qualifying highlights.
Yeah,
I only literally watched a replay of the race last night. So
yeah, I think he bottled qualifying.
I can't blame Yuki for what happened. I can't even blame Albon for what happened.
No, it's racing.
Gasly,
It's racing.
It's the first corner. They're all heading out to the outside to get that racing line, and 3 into 1 didn't go.
Well, I mean, I'm just slowly. It's padding.
Yeah.
It's marshmallow.
Yeah,
because
I understand.
The next helmet driver is Max fucking Verstappen for just driving like a bell end.
We've already ranted about Max Verstappen's unnecessarily on 2 accounts
and
driving style.
And look, I'm not going to fart ass around. The next one's Sergio Perez.
Yeah, there you go. Both Red Bull drivers on the helmet list.
There's 3 out of the 4 Red Bull drivers on this list. 3 out of the 4. One of them made it to the other side.
One of them actually drove with some dignity. The rest he is. Have a look in the mirror.
Yeah, it's just.
Although I'm not putting Yuki Tsunoda on that list. That wasn't his fault. That wasn't a racing incident that took him out of the race.
Okay, so we can eliminate Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah. So the two
Red Bull drivers.
The two B team drivers didn't drive like dickheads, but the 2 main drivers did.
And Lance Stroll.
It's a really tough choice. I'm going to have to flip a coin here because both Max and Sergio deserve helmet driver of the week.
Look, I'm going to go with Max. 20 seconds worth of penalties.
Driving dangerously.
And just driving like a bell
Sergio just did what Sergio does. Just fucking ruined it. But he did it in front of his home fans, which is even more disappointing.
You remember a few years ago, State of Origin, Queensland beat New South Wales 52-2.
Yes.
Sergio Perez is New South Wales.
Yeah.
52-2.
On home turf.
On home turf.
Oh, actually, no. I think Queensland won that at Suncorp. But anyway, Sergio Perez has basically turned around to his own net and booted it past his own keeper.
Yeah.
The way his weekend went.
You know what he is? He's like when you watch a wrestling match and it's a tag team match and they break the tag team up mid-match by having the tag partner drop off the apron.
Yeah, basically.
That's what he's done.
Basically, he's just turned around and finishing moved his own teammate and then got finishing moved himself and they've lost the tag titles to whoever.
It's just...
I'm going to give it to both Red Bull drivers simultaneously.
It would just go with Red Bull.
Red Bull.
Red Bull.
Red Bull. Like last week when I gave it to Alpine as a whole. Red Bull as a whole. But not RB. You guys are cool.
Yeah. The A team, not the B team.
Yeah, no, surprisingly.
Yes. Right. So we've only got one sort of news item this week. Guess who? It's Red Bull. So Sergio Perez's pathetic performances have led to rumours that Sergio Perez is going to be dumped very, 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 very soon. And there's 2 drivers in line for a crack at his seat. Would you like to know who?
Liam Lawson
Yes?
and Franco Colapinto.
No.
Ah.
Daniel Ricciardo.
I don't see Daniel Ricciardo sneaking in the back door now. I think it's Liam Lawson's.
I reckon,
It should be.
I reckon Liam Lawson will get brought into the main team, and Danny Rick's going to get brought back into the RB.
It's going to be like nothing ever happened.
It's
like,
the
let's just
butterfly
forget.
effect. It's the Mandela effect.
It's the fucking Men in Black fucking memory eraser thing. It's like, just forget that Daniel Ricciardo's missed the last, 3 races because he actually got sacked. It's like, no, he's been in the Red Bull, the RB the whole time. What are you talking about? Yeah, look, I saw something on Instagram too that was like Mexican Grand Prix was Sergio's last race. That's come out and been disproven, but that rumour was hanging there for a bit.
Well, Helmut Marko has got to be sitting there going, we got to get this guy out of the fucking car.
We were telling you that a year ago.
Yeah. And now he really is proving our point. He does not deserve to be in that car or in F1.
Yeah.
Look, I wouldn't mind if they dump him, bring Daniel Ricciardo into the Red Bull to finish off the season, give him his proper goodbye and everything, and then he rides off into the sunset and Liam Lawson takes a seat. Or they bring Danny Ricciardo in, he does the rest of this season, does all of next season, and they tell him straight up, like, end of next season, Liam Lawson's in your car. Like, this is it.
We'll see. I think it should be Lawson's.
I think it's
And
just
then
a little bit...
Then give Daniel Ricciardo the V-carb seat, and then get the next rookie in line up to,
The problem is, Liam Lawson is not fully ready for the big team. Like, he's got his big boy pants on and everything. He just needs a little bit more refinement. Just buff that diamond up a little bit. And then you'll have someone who can challenge Max Verstappen.
So you put Daniel Ricciardo in there until the end of the year?
Yeah.
But what if Daniel Ricciardo does really well?
Keep him on next season.
Does that fuck Liam Lawson's chance of getting the Red Bull seat?
No. Keep Liam Lawson in the V-carb for next year. And then the new regs and everything, bring him up to the main roster.
Yeah, that could work. That could work, yeah. Yeah. Honestly, Sergio, yeah, he's cooked.
Yeah.
He's cooked, and then to go out in front of his home fans and just own goal it the way he did.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, even the most ardent Sergio fan can't defend him anymore.
Yeah.
There was a time where he was worthy of that seat. That was 2020 and 2021. 2022, he probably did enough. Last year, he really didn't do. And this year, he really, really hasn't.
No.
It's been a decline.
Yeah.
2020 definitely deserved it. 2021 proved he deserved it. 2022 did just enough. 2023 is like, you got to start looking for other options, maybe Daniel Ricciardo. This year, it's just like, you should have sacked him last year.
Yeah.
And you've gone out and given him a year extension for whatever reason.
Oh, look, I think they'll buy him out of his contract.
They're going to have to.
Yeah.
They pigeonholed themselves.
Yeah.
It's like, you gave it, everyone at the time, when they announced that, said, this is the wrong move.
Yeah.
It's like, you shouldn't have given him a year extension. And all he's done since that contract was signed was drive even worse.
Yeah.
He hasn't been on the podium. Has he been on the podium this year? Maybe once or twice.
Yeah, once or twice early in the year. He hasn't even come within a bomb threat.
And this is before the Red Bull, was shit.
Yeah.
Or it was falling off a cliff, developmentally or whatever it was. It's just a really pathetic performance. It really has been. Like, he's done. He's cooked.
Every other team in the front runners has had both their drivers score wins multiple times.
Yep. Except Red Bull.
Because, I mean, like, we've got the photo up now, so... I mean, you got Lewis Hamilton won Silverstone and Spa. Max Verstappen, he's won Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Japan, China, Imola, Canada, and Spain. Oscar Piastri won Hungary and Baku. Carlos Sainz has won Australia and Mexico. Lando Norris has won Miami, the Dutch F1 and Singapore. And Charles Leclerc has won Monaco, Italy, and Monza in the USA.
Yeah.
And George
Russell hasn't won anything.
Which one did he win? He won...
Actually, no, George Russell did win a race, didn't he?
Austria.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he won Austria.
He won Austria. So
because Max and Lando
took each other out.
And he swooped in like a thief in the night.
He did.
He won Spa, but he got a penalty afterwards, or he got disqualified.
Yeah, he got disqualified for
fuel regularity.
Yeah, the fuel irregularity.
So, and even then, George Russell has won more races this year than Sergio Perez.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Well, Sergio Perez has won 0, so there you go.
Right.
Anyone who's won a race this year has won more races than Sergio Perez.
I've won more internet races than Sergio Perez has won races this
That's
year.
it.
And I haven't even fired up the fucking game. Right. So now we're going to get to a discussion point. We haven't done one of these for a while. Nice little discussion point. Okay. So, we're going to go through the teams. My first question is... So, McLaren's currently winning the Constructors.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think they need to do in order to maintain that and successfully win the Constructors?
Oscar Piastri needs to stop getting qualifying times deleted. Yeah? Because imagine if he had started the last 2 races where he should have. Oscar would have been what? Maybe Lando was on pole at Texas. Oscar would have been what? P4 maybe? P5 at worst. And then he would have been. McLaren probably would have been, podium, double podium maybe, or 2nd and 4th maybe, or 3rd and 4th. And then in Mexico he starts 17th and finishes 8th. If you could do that from the back of the grid and have that much pace and pass that many cars, imagine if he had started 4th, 3rd.
Yeah.
McLaren Lando finishes 2nd, Oscar finishes 3rd. I reckon the McLarens would have got 2nd and 3rd after Charles had that moment. And it would have been easily enough now. We probably would have almost had the Constructors wrapped up.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so Oscar's just got to keep it together in Brazil.
Yeah,
I can't believe he found a spot in Mexico to break track limits. I don't even know where he went off. He must have shortcut one of the chicanes because everywhere else there's a wall.
Yeah.
So I'm more bewildered, impressively, that he found somewhere on that track that was outside the limits that wasn't grass or a concrete wall.
It was either that or going into the stadium section. There's that right-hander going into the stadium section.
Yeah, he probably cut it. I don't know. But
coming out of it a bit wide.
But yeah, if Oscar can actually start in P4 or P3 or even on pole, without getting a lap time deleted and just start where he's supposed to, the end result should be enough for McLaren to win the Constructors.
All right. Next question. So, Ferrari is 2nd in the Constructors.
Yes.
What do they have to do in order to win it?
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You've 1-2'd the last race and you're just about 1-2'd this one.
Yeah.
You don't have to change anything, honestly. Just try and stay consistent. Try and keep consistent.
Yeah,
there's a couple of tracks there that, as you said earlier, suit the Ferrari.
Yeah.
You just got to stay consistent. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You've actually knocked Red Bull out of second place in the
Yeah.
constructors, like by a margin.
Yeah.
They've gone from dominating this championship to being knocked down 2 pegs in the constructors, and Max is going to hold on by the skin of his teeth to win the drivers. Like, you've taken advantage of and they've done it all year. They've taken advantage of every situation they could. They won Monaco. We fucked up in, where was it? Where did we put Monza?
Yeah.
McLaren should have won Monza. We fucked that up. They went and won that. They probably had no right to 1-2 in Coda. They did.
Yeah.
They probably had no right to win Mexico, and they did. They've found form without even meaning to.
Well, I think McLaren, when it comes to Monza, I think it highlights an issue with McLaren for me is that I think they need to sit down with Oscar Piastri and say, dude, you are the number 2 driver for the rest of this year.
They should have done that.
Yeah. They've got to pull the trigger. They can't do this. We let them race because...
Well, that hasn't been a problem for and Ferrari fluked Monza by accidentally stopping Charles Leclerc and then realising that the tyres hadn't degraded. And he won it. They won it by accident. McLaren, as I said on that podcast, they psyched themselves out thinking that the degradation was worse than it was.
Well, I think Fred Vasseur... One thing that Fred Vasseur has really done well this year is he's trusted the drivers.
Yeah.
Charles Leclerc said, I can push through the tyre bubbling phase. And he said, go for it. If you think we've got nothing to lose, go for it. He pushed on through, got to that second layer, the second layer of epidermis on those tyres, found his second win and won the race.
Yep. But I mean, the point was, they were presented with an opportunity, an unlikely opportunity, as it has been for most of the year.
Yeah.
To win races, even when Carlos won in Australia.
Yeah.
They've taken advantage of every unlikely scenario that they've been handed, and they've won 4 races this year.
Yeah, well,
5.
Fortune favours the brave.
That's it. And now they're second in the constructors, despite probably not even having the fastest car.
Yeah.
But there you go.
They've got the most consistent car.
They've got the most consistent team. Well,
yeah. Which
they
how? Whether the Ferrari is renowned for how can we fuck up a strategy?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and we're not.
As I've mentioned, if Oscar had started, this wouldn't be a debate. McLaren would have this thing wrapped up already. McLaren would be another 20 points ahead, but they're keeping it alive.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this one. I'm pretty sure I know the answer. I'm going to ask it anyway. If Red Bull want to fight back...
They can't.
But if they want to fight back...
They can't.
How?
Go to the McLaren and Ferrari garages and steal the power units so they both get 60-place grid penalties, and then hope that George Russell and Lewis Hamilton are kind to you when they finish first and second, and maybe Sergio Perez can jag fourth.
Right, so I will give you my answer to this.
After Max Verstappen finishes third to both Mercedes, because I don't think he'd beat them.
If Red Bull wants to stand any chance of moving up in the constructors to at least beating Ferrari and getting second, Max has got to stop yeeting it, and Sergio Perez has got to get in the fight.
We've just spent the last, I don't know how long this podcast has been going for now, saying exactly
49 minutes.
The last 49 minutes saying Max is driving like a cockhead unnecessarily. And
Sergio.
Sergio Perez is shit. And now you're sitting there telling me that Max needs to calm down. Sergio needs to drive good.
So basically, Max needs to stop driving like a fuckhead, and Sergio needs to start driving. What did you say? What did you
Remember
say?
in Fast and Furious how Han died and then Han was miraculously alive? That's basically what you're saying. Sergio Perez has to die and then 2 movies later miraculously be alive. Meanwhile, the Drift King is making rockets for some reason.
God, that shit me off.
That was so bad.
That was
Not even drifting anymore. No, drifting's old. I'm making rockets now.
I was just like, fuck. I was looking forward to seeing that character and then that, and I was just like, who writes this shit? I
Yeah.
haven't even watched the last one. I'm just like, nah, I can't do it.
I need to.
I can't do it.
I need to finish the series.
Yeah.
But no, basically what you're saying is Han needs to be alive 2 movies later in order for Red Bull to move up in this championship.
Han and
Basically,
Han and Gazelle.
basically what you're going to have to do is give Sergio Perez the 2021 Red Bull and just let him drive it. Or give him the 2020 Racing Point and let him drive that. Maybe.
The pink Mercedes.
And it would actually be faster. The 2021 cars are faster than the current regs. So, if you gave him the RB, whatever the 2021 one was, the RB16B, yeah, it was the RB. If you give Sergio the RB16B and let everyone else drive it, he might do enough to get 5th.
Honestly, if you give Sergio Perez the 2009 Toro Rosso,
Yeah.
he'd do better.
Give him anything. Give him the 1988 McLaren MP44. And he'd probably still only put it 6th.
Put it in the wall.
He would.
So, look, we got Mercedes. Like, they've secured 4th.
They can't move up.
And Aston Martin has secured 5th.
Yep.
Or I should actually say Fernando Alonso has secured 5th.
The window liquor did nothing.
Yeah. So, we get to 6th place with Haas. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this too. But what does Haas need to do to stay ahead of RB?
Keep doing what you're doing. You've got 2 top 10 finishes in a row, and then you got a double points finish in Mexico.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you've done, it's worked. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. You're going to take 6th.
RB, if they want to overtake Haas and take 6th back.
Not get yeeted out at the first corner. Liam Lawson will. Yuki Tsunoda's just got to... And it's not... I'm saying this like it was Yuki's fault. It's not Yuki's fault at all. He was unlucky in an unlucky incident. But they need to find a better pace because I think Liam Lawson... I don't think either of them top 10, did they?
No.
I mean, Yuki was out. Liam Lawson, I don't know where he finished. But I think the car needs to ultimately find just a bit more pace.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's got enough pace to beat the Haas because whatever the Haas has done is giving it consistent points finishes now. So I think that battle might be over. I think Haas will get the better of V-Carb.
So Williams are 8th in the Constructors. What do they have to do to stay ahead of Alpine?
Never thought I'd fucking say this. Alex Albon needs to pull his fucking socks up. Because Franco Colapinto is doing all the heavy lifting at the moment. Ever since he's come into that team, Alex Albon has looked like the second driver.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. As soon as Logan Sargent left and Colapinto came in, Alex Albon has lost his stranglehold on that team. I think he's actually a little bit on tilt at the moment. He's got a teammate that can actually fight with him and probably outdrive him on some days.
On this race, Alex Albon got taken out in that accident with Tsunoda.
Colapinto was in the top 10 for a while in this race.
Yeah,
I think he got passed by... I know Piastri passed him at one point.
Yeah, he was... I think he finished 11th or 12th. Like, he was just outside.
Alex Albon needs to rediscover whatever the fuck it was he had at the start of the year. He's just got to shake this thing off like he's, now you're being directly challenged by a teammate who's as fast, if not faster than you. But he's still lacking experience as well, so don't, you've got to mentally find yourself again and just re-establish what you had before.
He's got to get back to basics.
Yeah, he's got to just drive the way you were driving before. It was enough. Now you've actually got help.
Yeah.
But don't see it as a threat that Colapinto's there. You've got to see it as the challenge that it is.
Well, I mean, if he's feeling threatened by Franco Colapinto, he's got Carlos Sainz coming in.
That's
next
even
year.
worse. You think Colapinto's bad? You're going to go up against Carlos Sainz, multiple race winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a guy who's just leaving Ferrari, so he's going to have a chip on his shoulder.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, Alex Albon's just got to mentally stabilise himself to stay on that. Because Colapinto's doing more than enough. Colapinto's more than pulled his weight.
Alpine is in 9th.
But they did score points.
Yeah. 3 points behind Williams. What's going on with Alpine? What do you think they have to do, or what has to change for them to beat Williams again? I know what Longhorn's going to say. Longhorn's answer is going to be, they're not going to beat Williams.
They might. That's the problem.
I think that the key to this is that if Alpine wants to beat Williams, Ocon's got to get in the fight.
Yeah, but Ocon's leaving the team.
Yeah, and to me, Ocon...
Gasly's the one that's dragging this team along.
Yeah, oh yeah. Ocon is Alpine's equivalent of Sergio Perez.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think he's just poisoned with every team that he's got.
I can't believe Haas are taking him. I can't believe Haas have found this much form. And they signed Esteban Ocon for next year.
Yeah, they signed Oliver Behrman.
That's
That's a good get.
That's a good get. I mean, you've taken a shiny diamond and a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I'll let you figure out which one's which next year, Haas. We know.
Yeah. One's a frog in a dress. One's a diamond that just needs a bit of a buff and a bit of a...
I think this entire battle comes down to Alex Albon. Just getting back in the fight.
Yeah.
Just mentally stabilizing himself, because I think the Williams probably does have the pace to stay ahead of Alpine in the constructors, but they're going to probably need another double points finish. And I think Colapinto can definitely do it, but Albon, it's been a bit since he's been in the points.
Yeah.
It's been Colapinto scoring the points lately, so if Williams can work as a unit for the last 3 races, they should do enough.
Kick Sauber.
I don't think they can score a point. I don't think that car's capable. You've got Valtteri Bottas. Valtteri Bottas is great. Zagon Yu's average, but Valtteri Bottas can't drag that thing for even a top 10 finish.
Well, my question is this. All right, my question is this, because we know Zhou Guan Yu is not being retained.
Yeah.
I don't think Valtteri's done enough to be retained. I don't think he's done enough.
Yeah, he doesn't have the machinery to do anything to prove it.
Well, here's a question for you, because, I mean, like, he designed a McLaren from a couple of years ago. I think he designed last year's McLaren. Do you think James Key is not a very good designer? Because he designed this Sauber.
I think they're waiting. They're waiting for the Audi takeover. I think they're just waiting. I think they've stopped spending money. They've stopped developing.
They're just treading water.
They're just waiting. They're honestly just waiting. That car, I wouldn't be surprised that car is last year's spec, honestly. But even last year's spec as a Sauber, they were getting points.
Kind of like the Haas from 2020.
Yeah, when they were just treading water, waiting to spend all their development tokens. Maybe that's what they're doing, because, that car's just nowhere.
Because I think, honestly, they've got Nico Hülkenberg, right? I think they need to grab Franco Colapinto as their other driver.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, I mean, if you get Valtteri Bottas, you've got 2 number 2 drivers.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of experience with Bottas, but as it's showing, if Bottas doesn't have the machinery under him, he can't do. He can only fuck what he's been given.
But, I mean, Hülkenberg doesn't quite have the machinery, and he's...
doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's more the car than Valtteri.
Oh, yeah.
I think, but if they want a completely fresh start, they can go with Hülkenberg and Colapinto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the best.
I think it's their best bet. I think, honestly, that car's just treading water.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've upgraded it. I don't know what they've done. Whatever they've done with that car this year, it's...
done fuck all.
It's literally done fuck all, because that's how many points they have.
Yeah.
Like, Yeah, so
All right. So we did some actual analysis.
we did some analysis.
We did some journalistic stuff.
Journalism.
Yeah, journalism.
Journalism.
All right. So we're going to get to the drivers' standings now. In first place is Max Verstappen with 362 points. Second place is Lando Norris with 315 points. Third place is Charles Leclerc with 291 points. Fourth place is Oscar Piastri with 251 points. Fifth place is Carlos Sainz with 240 points. So we know the top five, they're the five players.
Yes.
Sixth place is Lewis Hamilton on 189. He's out of it. Seventh place is George Russell on 177 points. He's out of it. Eighth place is Sergio Perez with 150 points. I think in the last 9 races, he's probably scored 47 points. That's bad. That is bad.
He has less than half the points Max does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ninth place is Fernando Alonso on 62 points. And rounding out the top 10 is Nico Hülkenberg with 31 points. The team standings, first place is McLaren with 566 points. Second place is Ferrari with 537 points. Third place is Red Bull with 512 points. Fourth place is Mercedes with 366 points. Fifth place is Aston Martin with 86 points. Sixth place is Haas with 46 points. Seventh place is RB with 36 points. Eighth place is Williams with 17 points. Ninth place is Alpine with 14 points. And 10th place is Kicksauber with Zut. And now we're going to get to the socials. So you can interact. You can watch this on the F1 Chat -1. That's our dedicated channel. You can also watch us, the F1 Chat Care of Vindicator 18 channel.
Yes, that's on YouTube.
Yes, that is on the tube of you. You can interact with us on Facebook, the F1 Chat. We are on X as the F1 Chat 1.
Yes, don't forget the one.
We are on Rumble.
Yes,
as the F1 Chat. We are on the Spotify as the F1 Chat.
Correct.
And then this weekend,
the circus rolls on.
And we're
of tomorrow.
We are in
Interlagos,
or as you like to call it,
Senna Country.
Yes,
Senna's home track, and Lewis Hamilton will be taking the MP44 for a spin in celebration of the 30th anniversary of Ayrton Senna's passing.
Yep,
at his home track. That's going to be a massive weekend. We've already had 2 celebrations of Ayrton Senna on his birthday and at Imola and at Monaco as well.
Yep.
So this will be the biggest one yet at his home Grand Prix on his 30th anniversary of his passing.
I was trying to explain to one of my co-workers because we were talking about F1 and I said to him, like in the 80s they were running like V12 turbos and they had like a sequential stick gearbox. Like they didn't have the flappy paddles. It was a stick, you know. And he's like, holy shit, that sounds like a lot of power. I'm like, yeah. But if you ever watch the footage of Senna driving around Monaco, one-handed with a V12 turbo and a sequential gearbox, and he's going around the hardest track on the calendar, one-handed. I say, and it's uninterrupted footage. It's just an entire lap. Like the camera goes a bit skitsy and stuff because technologies. But that was a masterclass.
And he did it in the rain too.
You know?
His lap at Donington, I mean, he did it in the rain in the Tolman at Monaco.
Yep.
A couple of years prior to that lap.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Oh. I mean, I've said it a million times. He's the greatest driver of all time.
No, we're not talking about Michael Schumacher.
I know you don't agree with that statement, but...
When I was a kid, I used to hate Ayrton Senna. I was more Nigel Mansell.
Yeah.
But, you know, I sort of... a lot of respect for Senna. And there's a Senna movie coming out on Netflix soon.
Yeah, I'm sort of keen to see it. I mean, It's kind of hard for me because I've already got that Senna documentary on DVD, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
But I think this is the what do they call it? Biopic.
Yeah.
Basically, Rush, but with Ayrton Senna.
Yeah, well, that's what we've wanted for a long time.
It is what we've wanted for a long time. Hopefully they do it justice the way Ron Howard did with that movie.
I hope Prost is involved in the making of the movie. So,
yeah, me too.
So we can get it, much like with Rush, how they had Niki Lauda involved, and they could get it fairly accurate.
Yeah, you can take some creative license like they did with Rush, but you can get it mostly historically accurate.
Yeah.
And I think they will. I don't see any reason as to why they won't fuck around with it, so I'm keen to see it, actually.
And speaking of being keen to see it, we're keen to see you next week for next week's episode from the races at Brazil.
Yes.
I nearly said we're going to be at Brazil. We're not going to be at Brazil.
That would
we're
be
going to
cool.
be here.
I mean, that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Being into Lagos on Ayrton Senna's 30th anniversary.
Yeah, well, yeah. But no, we're going to be here.
We will be here.
You're going to be there. And we're going to see you next week. Until then, thank you for tuning in on behalf of JB and myself and the missing Longhorn. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Until then, it is goodbye.